wanted to ask you about Tottenham. Are you disappointed with your appointment of Big Ange Postecoglou, because it's likely that he's not going to achieve more than Pep Guardiola? Are you disappointed that he's not as good as Pep Guardiola? And I say that for context. Big up Saeed TV. I need to play this clip, people. Take a little listen.
Jesus Christ!
You did say that. But however,
and City, the best team in the country, did that.
Well, they weren't the best team in the country when they hired Pep Guardiola.
No, that's my point. No,
that's my
point. That's my point.
No, they were not the best team in the country when they hired Pep. The reason they're the best team in the country is because they went and got the best manager available. You haven't. We haven't. Man United and Chelsea. I
didn't say we had. But
okay, so is that the same with your club then? Because your manager's only just got there. He's implementing his own style. He's getting to know the players. He's shipping out the dead wood. He's bringing in players that fit his system and style. And then in year 2, surely he's got to win then. We'll go and get a better manager then.
Oh, this
give you a better chance.
You know what's mad, yeah?
It's getting stupid.
It's not. Ange Postecoglou is not going to win anything.
Stop, Lee. Stop. It's
no, guys, we're going to move on. Lee, stop rattling him. I'm
not rattling him. He just don't like factual information.
It's not factual when a team
is factual. You're not winning nothing with that manager. He ain't good enough. You've just admitted that he will not overtake Pep. Therefore, he is not good enough. So find one that is.
So we can't win.
It was that final statement. You've just admitted, Savva, that because he's not better than Pep, he's never going to win anything, and therefore you should sack him. I wanted to get your take on this, like reflecting a few days later.
It frustrates me so much. It frustrates me so much, right? For all those people in the chat saying, Lee cooked me. Listen, you're right, Terry. Listen to the last sentence. Go and find a better manager than Pep Guardiola. So I hate to break the news to anyone. There isn't a better manager out there in the world than Pep Guardiola, right? There isn't. As much as people go, he's a fraud, he did this, right? Look, I love Lee to bits, and Lee and I have always debated this, always. We probably will again on Monday's show with Saeed. So big up Saeed, big up Lee, right? This isn't about me slagging anyone off. This is about me defending my position here, right? There is a huge difference, right, between me liking a manager, i.e., Postecoglou, and thinking that in 1 year's time, can he completely usurp what Pep Guardiola has built in 8 years at Man City? It's madness. Now, these guys, they don't want to hear any words about building, right? Man City, he didn't turn up at Man City and in 1 year they were this. Yeah? It took him how many years to get that Champions League, right? How many years to be this dominant? Right? You don't turn up in year 1 and go, bang, look how great we are. I just don't understand what these people want. I don't understand. Who was Spurs? I'll ask you the question. Who was Spurs meant to go and get?
Well, but this is the one bit. We all know. I listened to it. I thought it was amazing viewing. I enjoyed watching it.
Sure, it was. Sure, it was for you. It was frustrating for me.
Yeah, I bet it was. But I sat there and thought to myself again, like Lee has suddenly got, and I'd love to chat to him about this. The standard, I understand, in an idealistical world, I'd love Man United to go and find a better manager than Pep. But I don't personally think that he exists. Now, some people think Klopp's better, right? Yeah. Cool. But it's impossible for Man United to get Klopp from Liverpool. It's never going to happen. So instantly, whoever we bring in is not as good as Pep and probably not as good as Klopp if they're number 1 and 2 in the world. So if the idea is you shouldn't hire anyone that isn't as good as them, that means Man United have got to remain managerless forever. So in the nth degree, that logic doesn't work. Equally, I agree. If you shouldn't probably hire a manager that you don't think is going to improve you, that you don't think maybe could win you trophies. That element I kind of agree with. But also when he sort of spoke about, he's right. City weren't the best team in England, let alone the best team in the world when Pep came in. And they have built up to that level. But then this is the context that was removed for me. But when Andrew's come in, when the next Man United manager comes in, as an example, the landscape's different again. So yes, City weren't the best team in England when Pep came in, but there was no team in England as good as this current Man City team for him to catch. So if there was a team in England when Pep arrived already with the best players in England, getting 100 points a season and winning trebles, he may have started winning league straight away. It may have taken him a little bit longer, especially if there was 2, 3, 4, 5 teams that were all much better than his Manchester City team was. So the context has got to be there. But I thought it was just an interesting take. I just don't think we can go around in football. I understand have the highest possible standards, right. But your standards have to be attainable, surely.
Right. Let me look. This is the thing, right? Everyone wants to win, right? Everyone wants to win. Not everyone can win every season. By the logic that Lee applies, right? And again, I'm not having a go at him, just debate. You brought this up, right? By the logic that Lee applies, any manager that finishes 2nd, 3rd, and 4th every season should be sacked because they failed. Now imagine a world we live in, Terry. Imagine a world we live in where every year the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th place team sack their manager every season. Now, first of all, I don't think there's many great managers in the world anyway, let alone if you're going to start sacking the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th place managers every season. And the only manager that's done their job is the one that finishes first. Throughout the test of time, right? This is where it's become really stupid. There are standards, and then there's this ridiculous notion that everyone else has failed, right? The ridiculous notion that everyone's failed. This all started because I said I like what Postecoglou is doing at Tottenham, right? And he was like, yeah, but if you don't win the FA Cup this year, you failed. And I'm like, well, why? Like, why this 1 year has he failed if we don't win the FA Cup? When if we get knocked out the FA Cup next weekend, we've been knocked out to the best team on the planet, right? We've been knocked out to Man City. I can take that, Terry. I can take getting knocked out to Man City if we put up a good show. Don't get beaten 6-0. But if we're involved in a game and you go, God, what a great game of football that was. Man City beat us because they're bringing off Kevin De Bruyne off the bench and we can't compete with that. Fine, right? At the end of the day, I don't understand. All these people that are saying, yeah, Lee's right. I don't understand. So are these people advocating that anybody who doesn't win a league title, every other manager has failed and should be sacked? Are these people advocating that there are better managers out there than Postecoglou, than Pep Guardiola to come and bring into their football club? Now, I want to take this in a different direction if I can, right? I want to take this in a different direction. This CFC Reaper guy, right? It started turning into my stalker. He follows me to every channel. He was right. You got cooked. How? So by the CFC Reaper, I'll ask him a question. He's about 12, so he can't answer it. Name me a better manager than Pep Guardiola that Spurs could get that would win us a title in 1 year. Go. I'll wait. I'll sit here and wait. Terry will sit here and wait. No, we'll wait, Terry. We'll wait. Right?
Okay, we'll wait. We're waiting.
Now,
we're waiting.
On top of that...
We're waiting, Reaper. We're waiting, Reaper. Actually, let's just sit in silence and wait. We'll sit in silence and we'll wait. Better than Pep that Spurs can sign. Great question.
Go on. We'll all wait. We'll all wait for this. We'll all wait for this kid to come up with... He loves it. He goes at me in the chat. It's fine. I can take it. It doesn't upset me. I just never, ever...
Ancelotti is not better than Pep Guardiola. But
why is he leaving Real Madrid for Tottenham?
Why is he leaving Real Madrid for Tottenham?
It's ridiculous.
It don't make sense. Listen. This is what's going on. This is what's going on, right? This is what's going on.
Brilliant. It's brilliant.
Standards FC are being very clever in the football discourse world.
Exactly.
They essentially are setting ridiculously high standards, some of which have only been achieved every now and then by the greatest team.
While it's there, Terry, please, while it's there, right? Please, while it's there, okay. CFC Reaper has said, Lee cooked Savva because what Lee said that if you don't win, you failed, right? Lee also says, go and get in Simeone. When did Simeone last win a trophy? Terry, when did Simeone last win a trophy?
About 3 years ago.
2021 season. So for 2.5 years, and by the way, this season, this guy's not going to win a trophy again, but he's the guy you go and get. This is why I bring it up. People will say, don't get rattled by the chat. I love this, right? This guy has just said Lee was right. I've asked him a question. He's given me the name of one manager who manages the best club in the world, right? And another one who hasn't won anything for 2.5 years. So am I right in saying that Pep
But this-
Guardiola,
but
he's the
this
best
is-
manager in the world, and Spurs
This is
can't
what I
get
mean.
better.
This is what I mean.
Hang on,
Standards FC
sorry, he's tangled
or-
himself. Sorry, Terry, I'm so he's tangled himself. He's tangled himself.
He says here, so you keep changing manager until you get it right.
So we now that there's no one, so you've changed it to Lee is right, you get a better manager. Now there's no better manager. You want me to just keep changing managers every year until one wins for Lee?
Listen though, if
This
there's
guy
no
right in the
manager,
head.
if there's no manager better than Pep,
Yeah.
and you change manager every year. Mr. Reaper, the first question: How long a contract are you giving all these managers?
I love it. I love it.
Contracts, a manager's getting 1 year contracts. First of all, is that what they're getting? Because if they're getting 2 or 3 year contracts, but you sack 19 managers every year after 1 year, clubs are going to all go bankrupt eventually.
Yeah.
So there's that question. Secondly, if there's no one better than Pep, you can keep sacking managers. You're still not going to surpass him because none of them are better than him. And even if you beat him for 1 year, what happens the following season when Pep then wins a title back? Do you then sack the guy that's won it? It doesn't make sense. It is absolutely ridiculous. And the point I was trying to make, Sav, let me just say this point. Sorry, I'm going to get this out.
Go on. Yeah, this is fun. This is fun.
Standard FC they're right about some things. They'll quote something about Real Madrid that's correct. You go, that's a great fact.
Yep, agreed.
But they'll apply that logic and that standard to every other single club in the world at the same time. But it doesn't work in reality. It is fantasy and fiction. And I'll give you an example. I've had conversations with many people on Twitter, people in the chat, with Lee, with many other people from Standard FC, because Lee's not alone in this. There are many that think like Lee does. So this is not a dig. But they say things like they want all clubs to try and win the Premier League, all clubs to have the highest standards, spend the most amount of money, get the best managers possible. Even if everybody did that, you would still have 19 losers at the league at the end of this at the end of the season. So irrespective, but then if you then applied the rest of their logic, which is sack everyone that failed, you're sacking at least 16 managers every single year, maybe more if another team wins more than one trophy. As an example, the minimum you'd be sacking every year would be 16. It doesn't make sense, because what you would never do, you would never be able to create a team that gets stronger over. Let's not act like teams historically, and there's many examples of this, haven't got stronger over a period of time with the same manager. Now, I understand when it comes to Arsenal, there are Arsenal fans that don't think they're getting better under Arteta.
Sure.
That's a fair point. That's separate, though, from saying no manager ever has managed over a 2, 3, 4 year period to make his team continuously get better. That's not true.
Right, let me ask you a question.
It's crazy to me.
Let me ask you a question, right? We're roughly the same age, right? We're roughly the same age, Terry. From the test, shush you. Sorry, the dog's seen another dog on the TV. Let me turn that off. 1 sec. Yeah, it's bad times over here. From the test of time, since I started supporting football, right? There's always been the bigger clubs, and then there's been medium clubs, and then there's been the smaller clubs. The bigger clubs will fight it out, maybe 2, maybe 3 for a title. The rest are fighting out for Europe. The bottom half are fighting out to stay mid-table and not get dragged into a relegation battle. And the bottom 5 or 6 are fighting a relegation battle. By this notion that Standards FC, if we're going to call it that, I love that you call it that, it's everybody should just go and spend a shed load of money and try and win a title. Sure. You know what? Your point is valid. Everyone's spent a shed load of money. Let's say every club in this next window spends £1 billion on players, right? One of those clubs that spent £1 billion on players is still going to be bottom and get relegated, right?
And then they're going to go out of business. And do you know what's really funny about this? Do you know what's really funny about this?
Go on.
The amount of people that have come for me when I've said the way the likes of Everton and the way the likes of Forest, ever before their charges, it's unsustainable. They don't make enough money. No, they're just being ambitious. They're both about to get, Everton are going to get their second points deduction, and Nottingham Forest, who everybody praised for pumping all that money in last year, are about to get a points deduction, which is probably going to end up see them getting relegated if and which it goes through. So in the end, they should have been more sustainable in terms of buy it and spend money, but spend it correctly. Don't waste money on a 1-year contract on Jesse Lingard, as an example. They threw loads of money at bringing in, who's that goalkeeper? Navas. The amount of money that cost them, they didn't need someone of his level. They needed a good goalkeeper while Henderson was out. But you look at the situation, and it's about being smart. the way in which Standard FC operate, if clubs actually applied their logic, this is my personal opinion. I'm not going to say it's an actual fact. In my opinion, they would bankrupt, put out of business, and close down 70% of football clubs in the world inside 18 months if they behaved in that way. It would ruin football. You can't behave like that. There's ambition is subjective at the professional level based on the size and the income of your football club. And anybody that doesn't believe that is either delusional or a liar. It's as simple as that. It's as simple and straightforward as that.
I make you right. I got 2 points on this, right? This is where, sometimes where it's really easy to sit in I love this guy. I love this guy. He's brilliant. I'd love to know how old he is, honestly. If he's 14, I'm not even sorry. I'm not even sorry. But I'd love to know how old this kid is. It's brilliant. Right. 2 points, Terry. 1. When football fans are biased and tribalistic, right? And they want to have a go at other football fans, right? Let's take me as a Tottenham fan. Already in your chat today when I was with Mo, I'm sure whatever other show I go on, Terry, I'm going to see in the chat, Savva's a Spurs fan. What does he know? Spurs are cooked. Spurs are rubbish. Spurs don't win anything, right? Am I correct in saying that? People say these things?
Yeah,
right.
every day.
Okay. So we've got this over here, right? Then on the other breath, go and get a top manager that's just going to win you the league in a year. Hang on. Just now we were crap. Just now we're a terrible club that no one wants to join. Top players won't join us. But you want us to bypass that, go out and get Carlo Ancelotti or Pep Guardiola to come in and run our club and win us a league title in 1 year. Right? Which one is it? And the second point is this, right? Everyone can't win the league. Right? Everyone can't win the league. There is nothing wrong with saying, when a manager, this is where context is really important for me. And more and more as I got older. When I was younger, I was probably having the same conversation as some of the younger people now. Just win, just do this. As I got older, you realize context is different. Context for me, people are going, you're celebrating if you get top 4. Context. He's picked us up in a position of 8th. Yeah? No one wanted to play for Tottenham. We were a mess. We had no standard of football. The football was turgid. Yeah, we lost our best goal scorer, who's the best goal scorer in world football, arguably him and Haaland. Right? Every fan is predicting us to. Spurs fans were saying that it could be a tough season. Other fans going, without Kane, they're getting relegated. So everyone knows we're in a mess. The manager comes in year 1, rips it all up. Hypothetically, could finish 4th. I'm not saying we will. Hypothetically, could finish 4th, and people going, Spurs and their 4th place trophy. Make your minds up. Either have a go at Spurs because we're crap and shit and we're rubbish, yeah? And if you're going to do that, then you have to acknowledge that 4th is good. Or say that you think Spurs should be winning a league title, right? Then say 4th is rubbish. But you can't come with that energy at the beginning of the season that we're rubbish. We're going to get relegated bottom half. Then if we do finish 4th, but it's Spurs, they're rubbish anyway. But you can't have it both ways if you're a sensible adult with rationale. You can't. So that's where biased tribalism is brilliant. It's brilliant. But these people show themselves up for what they are when they come out with things like, go and get a better manager than Pep. Who? No one can answer me. Who?
No, exactly. And that's what context is very, very key in these circumstances. And it should always be looked at and utilized.